Welcome back. So over the past few years, especially on the so-called political right, it's become very trendy to say that you support free speech or to call yourself a free speech absolutist. In other words, to say that you believe in the First Amendment. You believe that it has little to no limits and that there is nothing that the United States government or anyone else for that matter can stop people from saying what they want to say. They have no right to shut it down. People have been really loud about this, especially when it comes to maintaining the ability to criticize the United States government. But you know what's funny about that? None of them seem to care about the ability to criticize the Israeli government, or Israel itself, or Jews, or the version of history that we have been fed that's been delivered to us and delivered us to the place that we are today, a country that's completely controlled by foreign interests based in Tel Aviv. In politics, on both sides of the political aisle, all of this free speech talk is just fake. It's just a talking point. It's just a soundbite. Especially when it comes to MAGA. Everybody loved talking about free speech when big tech was taking down Trump's social media posts and accounts. But now that Trump is rounding up people who question Israel and kicking them out of the country, there's a whole lot of silence in the Republican Party and among online conservatives. We've talked about this situation a couple of times this week, but right now the Trump administration is trying to deport a man of Palestinian extraction called Mohammed Khalil. Khalil is a permanent U.S. resident living in this country on a green card. He's married to an American citizen. He's expecting a child who will be born a U.S. citizen. But because as a student at Columbia University, Mohammed publicly opposed Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people and America's support for it, the Trump administration has arrested him, and now they're trying to send him back to Palestine. And this is not a unique situation, okay? Not at all. This is going to continue happening. More and more. Trump has told us this. And it's not going to stop with pro-Palestine protesters. It's going to fan out to anyone and everyone who our government and Jewish handlers accuse of being anti-Semitic. Anyone who even dares to question the foreign, secular, homosexual nation state of Israel. And eventually, American citizens will be swept up in it. American citizens, in all likelihood, will be thrown in jail for their free speech. Their free speech. Just like they were after January 6th. Only this time, Republicans will be supporting it in public, not just in private. This has been in the works for a long time. For years now, all around the country, states have been passing legislation making anti-Semitic speech a hate crime. In fact, if you were paying attention, you would have known long before the 2024 presidential election that arresting and deporting and disappearing so-called anti-Semites was a central plank to the Trump campaign. They talked all about it at the RNC. They even brought in Jewish propagandists with tiny hats and Israeli flags to pump up the crowd about it. I'm not kidding. Take a look.
Proud to support President Trump's policies to expel foreign students who violate our laws, harass our Jewish classmates, and desecrate our freedoms. Let's elect a president who will instill patriotism in our school once again. Let's elect a president who will confront terrorism and its supporters once again. Let's elect a president who recognizes that although Harvard and the Ivy Leagues have long abandoned the United States of America, the Jewish people never will, because Jewish values are American values, and American values are Jewish values. God bless the United States. God bless the land of Israel. God bless, protect, and return the American hostages in Gaza now.
Did you hear that? They have been planning this all along. And all of those clapping seals in there, standing ovations, yelling and cheering, all of those retards, they ate it up. And you know what that means, right? The Jews will enforce their agenda. The Jews will enforce their narrative. And if you don't like it, they'll kick you out of your country. You know, here's a novel idea. How about instead of deporting people who want America to be sovereign and not be governed from Tel Aviv, how about instead of that, we deport Shabbos Kestenbaum and all of the other little Jews just like him who are using the United States of America and its disgusting, illegitimate, pedophilic, decrepit criminal government to enforce Jewish-Israeli domination all over the world. Because that's what this is about. We've been hearing a lot from people just like Shabbos since the latest Jewish supremacist mania began in October of 2023. These Jews, right along with our government and all of its propagandist talking heads, are telling you, if you don't support Israel, if you don't sign off on the mass slaughter and genocide of scores of innocent people in the name of the Talmud, then you have no place in America. You have no place in Western civilization. You're a terrorist, you're a Nazi, you're a member of Hamas. So you should be deported to a war zone where these Jews can drop big bombs on your head and kill you and your family. Because that's what they want. They're not going to stop with Muhammad Khalil. And they didn't start with Muhammad Khalil. This has been going on a lot longer than that, a very long time. It's been a slow burn, but now they're kicking it up a notch. Our good friend Germar Rudolph, who you've likely seen on this show before, has already been through all of this multiple times, thanks to the United States government and its co-conspirators in Europe. Back in 2005, the United States deported Germar to his native Germany so that he could be imprisoned for the so-called crime of Holocaust denial. For his refusal to fall in line and curse his parents' and grandparents' generations to the ash bin of history and declare that his own people, the nation that raised him, are a bunch of evil genocidal monsters. And in the years since, it hasn't stopped. He's continued to face harassment from the authorities, including as recently as December of last year. Germar knew the Holocaust story was, and he used science to prove it. Then he wrote multiple books about it, including the Holocaust Encyclopedia, which you frequently see right here on my desk, as well as Nazi Gas Chambers, The Root of the Story, a book that completely blows the lid off the communist propaganda gas chamber story that's been parroted as fact by billions of people, including at gunpoint. Germar uses scientific evidence that cannot be refuted, and because of that, the Holocaust lobby and the Jewish control agents, the traitors in our government and governments like it, are terrified. In Germany, which was once a strong and proud nation, they'll throw you in prison if you don't grovel to the Jew. And because he didn't grovel, just like Muhammad Khalil didn't grovel in America, Germar faced serious consequences at the hands of Jew-run Western governments. So what's going on with Muhammad Khalil, it isn't new. But the United States government is using the case of Muhammad Khalil to get Americans to sign off on criminalizing speech, criminalizing anti-Semitism. You see what they do here? They present a Muslim green card holder from Palestine. They say that he's an anti-Semite who supports Hamas. They make him as unsympathetic as possible to a nation that's already been told for the past 24 years that a bunch of Muslims took down their towers, and pretty soon they have people clamoring for more arrests, begging for more deportations and for more laws on the books and executive orders on Trump's desk ordering local, state, and federal authorities to curb and combat anti-Semitism, and then they'll go full bore. Then they'll just turn on everyone. They'll start arresting people like me. They'll continue arresting people like Germar Rudolph. Their brainwashed supporters will beg for more. And they'll start permanently silencing anyone who gets in the way of Jewish fairy tales and Israeli domination. Everybody should see this coming from a mile away. We are rolling directly into one of the biggest anti-speech crackdowns in world history. Remember that I said that. For more discussion on what we can expect to see next, we're now joined by our good friend Germar Rudolph. Germar, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me again.
We're looking at a huge free speech crackdown, and it's being cheered on by people who just a year ago or two were cheering on the same people for wanting to crack down on big tech for their crackdowns on free speech.
Right. Unfortunately, it's not new for me. I've been observing that same kind of political dynamics unfold in Germany, where the conservatives, as long as they're in the opposition, are all for free speech. And even now you have the right-wingers in Germany, Alternative for Germany, they call themselves. They are for free speech as long as it doesn't touch on the central core, the central issue. Germany has massive anti-free speech laws that now had added to it that you can't criticize Israel for what they are doing in Gaza and in any occupied territory.
So that has become law in Germany at this point. It's not only illegal to deny the Holocaust as per the official Orthodox narrative, but it's now illegal to question Israel for killing hundreds of thousands of innocent children.
That's right.
They'll throw you in jail for it in Germany.
They do. Yes, up to 5 years imprisonment, depending on what you've done, what your track record is.
What's coming next, in your opinion?
Well, for the United States, I've always said the courts, I'm pretty sure, will uphold the First Amendment. I'm not too sure about that anymore. As you mentioned, I've gone through that, what Mahmoud Khalil is going through right now. I was in 2005 arrested. I had just been acknowledged to have a valid marriage to a U.S. citizen. I had a right to get the green card. I had it certified, and all I needed is file the application. That's when they arrested me. My wife and my U.S. daughter of 7 months old were then left all alone. I was deported to Germany. What I've seen since 9/11 with Patriot Acts 1 and 2 is that through the back door of what they call national security, of fighting terrorism, they have pretty much the ability to completely undermine free speech, to upend what the founding fathers of this nation have been fighting for and have enshrined in the Constitution with the amendments.
As Christians in a Christian country, we have a right to be, at minimum, agnostic about the leadership being all Jewishly occupied.
We literally should be at war with fucking Israel 100 times over, and instead we're just sending them money, and it's fucking craziness.
Look at the state of Israel, look at the state of Tel Aviv, and look at the state of Philadelphia. You tell me where this money's going. You tell me who's benefiting from this.
I am prepared to die in the battle, fighting this monstrosity that would wish to enslave me and my family and steal away any rights to my property and to take away my God. Go fuck yourself. Will I submit to that?
And if you've got a foreign state, you've got dual citizens in your government, who do you think they're supporting?
God, right now, would you protect the nation of Israel and protect those of us, not just our church, but every church in the world and in this nation that's willing to put their neck on the line and say, we stand with them.
You can look at Trump's cabinet, you look at Biden's cabinet, it's full of Jews.
I have a black friend in school. I have nothing against blacks. She has nothing against me. She understands where I'm coming from.
Excuse me, I'm a Jew, and I just like to say that, you know, in our Bible it says that you're like animals.
The Jews crucified our God.
If you work out, if you go to the gym, if you're trying to drop some body fat, maybe put on some lean muscle, if you're even just a little bit paying attention to your physical fitness, chances are you're probably taking a protein supplement. Back in the 80s, all of these supplement companies told us you got to have more protein. They started pushing this massive protein consumption theory. The more protein you have, the faster you'll achieve muscle growth and muscle mass. So let's break that down. Let's just say that you have an 8-ounce chicken breast. That means that you're consuming about 40 grams of protein. You're putting it in your mouth. But just because something contains 40 grams of protein and you put it in your mouth and swallow it, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to absorb all 40 grams, because without enzymes, most of that protein just ends up in your toilet bowl. Your small intestine can only absorb protein that's been broken down into what we call amino acids. So it doesn't matter. You can have 300 grams of protein a day. If you don't have a sufficient supply of enzymes to digest that protein, your muscles will just ignore it, fight it off. They'll starve of protein. So it's crucial that you have a high quality enzyme. Now, before you just go running out buying bottles of enzymes, I think it's important that you know what to look for, because the sad truth is a lot of these supplement companies won't spend the money necessary to developing and stabilizing these enzymes. So the one I trust is from Bioptimizers, and it's called Masszymes. I love it because it's a full spectrum enzyme formula with more protease than any other commercially available enzyme, with 5 different kinds of protease. Plus, it contains all of the enzymes that you need for optimal digestion. If your digestion is optimized, the protein that you're taking in actually goes to feed your muscles instead of going into the toilet bowl. So you're actually getting your money's worth. And today you can try it risk-free. They have a 365-day full money-back guarantee. That's the gold standard in the industry. If you want to try it, go to bioptimizers.com/Stu Peters. Again, that's bioptimizers.com/Stu Peters. And by the way, if you want 10% off, my good friends at Bioptimizers have offered that to you. Just use the coupon code Stu Peters at checkout when you go to bioptimizers.com/Stu Peters.
Airwaterhealing.com is the leading manufacturer in filterless air purification systems. Whether you're dealing with pollen or mold or dust, shedding from your pet or vaccinated neighbors, mRNA spike protein shedding, Airwaterhealing.com has solutions for every scenario at home, at work, or on the go. Breathe with confidence. Don't let your air suck. Rest well knowing that your home is protected 24/7. So now you can get a unit for your home or a portable unit for on-the-go travel. That's Airwaterhealing.com. Use promo code STU for 10% off when you go to Airwaterhealing.com.
You said that before you believed that the First Amendment would uphold. And now you're saying that because of the Patriot Act that they can use to back end and supersede, the First Amendment, that you think that they'll do that. What changed your mind? Because the Patriot Act, of course, came in the wake of 9/11. So what was it that recently changed your mind? Is it the current administration? Are you watching what Trump is doing?
Right. The development that I've seen, the Supreme Court giving the president absolute immunity, basically, and he's using that to the full extent of doing whatever he likes. And it is now the Mahmoud Khalil case. I'm observing that very closely because it hits very close home. I'm a green card holder, and I have not yet been associated with quote-unquote terrorist organizations. I'm trying to do publishing scientific research and make that accessible to all. But my policy has always been to not associate myself with anyone. That doesn't mean I'm not talking with anyone. I'm talking with everyone. I'm talking with you. If you have an organization, I will not join it, however. I'll talk to people. I'll discuss with people, with anyone who wants to listen, but I'm not associated with anyone. That does not mean they wouldn't try. I've seen that with a late friend of mine, and Zundel, who was an immigrant to Canada and who got arrested after he immigrated here to the United States. He missed an interview appointment, got arrested, deported back to Canada, and Canada put him into solitary confinement and had him, at the end of a long procedure, deported back to Germany. During that procedure, there were in-camera hearing where was introduced by the prosecution secret evidence. In-camera hearing means it's not public. No one in the public will know what's going on. In camera means behind closed door in a room, secluded from the public. And secret evidence means the government claims that the evidence they have proving that you are a supporter of terrorism, a supporter of terrorist organizations, terrorist states, or whatever, is so sensitive for the national security that they cannot reveal it to the defense or to the public. So only the judge gets to see it, if at all. And based upon that non-scrutinized evidence that is secret, and Zundel got sentenced as a national security and deported to Germany. After 9/11 in Patriot 1 and Patriot 2, the United States has similar ability to do exactly that, to have you in court for security threats to the nation and with secret evidence sentence you to whatever they want. And then you can disappear. So we will see what the federal court reviewing the Mahout Khalil case will decide, and based upon that, I will form my opinion. I don't think that the federal court will be the final say here. It will probably go to the Supreme Court, because in theory, according to the law as we have it, a green card holder can be deported only if he is sentenced at least in 2 cases for offenses that come with a maximum sentence of at least 1 year.
And we're talking about punishment and jail time for free speech. I mean, I can't even believe that we're having this discussion, but given everything that I've seen lately, I guess I can't believe it.
Has no police record. He has no prior convictions for anything, and therefore, even if he were accused of having committed a crime, which he isn't, which they don't even do, he's not committed of having. He's not accused of having committed a crime. He's just accused of having abused the First Amendment to voice highly controversial views that are not a crime in the United States. Of course, the First Amendment is there only so that we can voice controversial views, because uncontroversial views are never in jeopardy to be suppressed by any government.
That's right.
It is always the controversial views, and the more controversial they are, the more they are threatened by the government. And that's why we need the First Amendment, and that's where it needs to hold up. The Supreme Court has given President Trump absolute immunity, and the way he has rigged it over the last term he was in office, and maybe continues that, we will see how they will decide whether the government can deport just about any person who is not a citizen, no matter the status in the country, and even revoke citizenships. They have done that in the past with people accused of having immigrated into this country and received citizenship by not disclosing certain information. I remind the viewer of the case of John Demjanjuk, who has been accused of having been a guard in some National Socialist wartime camp, and based on his citizenship in the United States revoked twice. Now, in theory, a naturalized U.S. citizen who is an immigrant but became a citizen in due course could have his citizenship or her citizenship revoked under the current administration, or procedures being initiated for supporting terrorist organizations, governments, or whatsoever. It's always about the terms you use. One person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. It always depends on which side you're on and how you perceive a confrontation. The issue is it a crime under U.S. law, whether you support certain freedom fighters that fight for a side that the U.S. officially is not friendly to. And there are many conflicts on the planet where we are not so much involved, but when it comes to Israel, it's very clear the official position is that Israel can do no wrong, and whatever they do needs to be defended, and anyone who opposes it, and I avoid the term anti-Semitic, who voices anti-Zionist or anti-Jewish points of views or anti-Israel points of views, is in the crosshairs these days. I'm not decided yet. I'm sitting on the fence in many regards in my own life. As you mentioned, I was deported in 2005, was sentenced to a total of 44 months in prison, and managed to come back because the things I was sentenced for in Germany are not a crime in this country, and therefore I was able to immigrate. I have a green card now. I got into the crosshairs again here because of my eclectic workout habits, working out early in the morning in the park. And things were looking glum when this second case started 2.5 years ago. I've been cleared since. They've dropped all charges. And I got lucky, very lucky, that my case came up finally after 2.5 years during the transition of the Biden administration to the Trump administration, just the turn of the year, when the administrations were changing and nobody was paying attention to what was going on. Now they are paying attention, but now my case is closed. It's over. Fortunate. So the timing was just extremely lucky for me that they did not try to take that as an opportunity to kick me out of the country. But
and they will.
Illusion.
And they've proven that they'll do it, and not for having committed a crime, but just for speaking badly against their paymasters. The people who have snatched the soul directly out of our government, and they use the narrative of the Holocaust to do it all the time, which is why we honor and we admire your work so tremendously. I mean, imagine living a life running from your home nation's government, and having to live under the pressure of knowing that when you return, you could be snatched up and arrested. Having to live here in the United States, and now thinking that this government could be as fanatical about the Holocaust narrative to where they will do that as well. And that's why we recommend that every one of you goes to HolocaustEncyclopedia.com and that you get Germar Rudolph's incredible work. Scientific research proves all of these things, these atrocities that have been claimed, the amount of money and time and effort that has gone into putting this together. Is just to have this in physical form. I mean, you can see it at HolocaustEncyclopedia.com, but having a physical copy of this is, I thought, extremely important. But then also he added, when Germar was in studio with me, added this Nazi gas chambers book, The Roots of the Story. And that, it's a very easy read, but my God, we stand with the truth. That's what ends us up censored and banned, and that's also why people continue to support us and gravitate to us, because they know that when we speak from conviction, because we have the truth. And when these people try to shut you down and you don't have the truth, you want to know the truth about everything that you were misled about, everything that you were lied about. All of the lies that you were told, and maybe not even by liars themselves, but by people who have been programmed to tell these lies. This is generational. So when you have teachers at elementary and middle schools talking about the Holocaust, they're parroting the teachings that have been programmed into their brains. When you go to church and your pastor is saying, we need to stand with Israel, and these are God's chosen people, a lot of them actually truly do really believe that. When you look at MAGA conservatives, and you look at these congressional candidates and people that are in office right now, if 100% of them are sold out to Israel, half of them are probably doing deals with Israel because they really believe the greatest ally narrative. We know that these things are lies. We need to be armed with the truth. And that's why I just can't tell you how important it is that you pick up these two books. You can get them both at HolocaustEncyclopedia.com. There are links to find this one as well, Nazi gas chambers. You got to know the truth. This is the most important event in world history, because the entire enforcement mechanism for all of the things that Germar and I just talked about, and the things that Mahmoud Khalil is going through right now, are because people were not armed with the truth. They were kept in the dark, and they have carried it around as this doctrine, this religious sacrament, that bowing to and worshiping the Jews based on this event is something that you should do, that you owe reparations, or that you should be an apologist, or that you should be sorry, that you should be afraid of being called an anti-Semite. And we've covered before here how the term means nothing, because the people that we're being critical of are not even Semitic people. The empire of lies will not stop until everybody is armed with the truth. So go to HolocaustEncyclopedia.com right now. Again, HolocaustEncyclopedia.com. When you choose to get the physical copies of this book, which I highly recommend, you'll get a significant discount if you enter the promo code StuLikesBooks. HolocaustEncyclopedia.com. Use the promo code StuLikesBooks. Know the truth. Very few historical events have taken root in public consciousness like World War II. And of course, no aspect of its remembrance has become more central than the Holocaust. Daily current events are framed within its legacy. Countless articles and propaganda films and books and documentaries and memorials are dedicated to ensuring the world never forgets the Holocaust. Yet, despite the untold sums cumulatively invested by powerful entities to keep this narrative at the forefront, finding authoritative and systematically presented information on the subject remains surprisingly difficult. Why? In a time where skepticism about pretty much everything that we have ever been taught is so rampant that even debates that were thought to be settled millennia ago have reemerged, one would think that the Holocaust, a narrative that is so sacrosanct to the establishment that it's become something of a new religion, whose orthodoxy is so enshrined and held so sacred that the questioning thereof is actually criminalized in many places around the world, that we would have some semblance of a scholarly foundation upon which its altars are built. Some sacred text that its devotees could bolster their faith with, solace themselves with the promise of when the Holocaust heathens rage. But yet, in spite of repetitive assertions that it's the single most well-documented atrocity in all of human history, in all of the thousands of works on this topic, even the most prestigious and celebrated among them are woefully lacking the hard data needed by inquiring minds to navigate the complexities of World War II history. How is it possible that you can go to jail in some countries for so much as just questioning the official death toll at Auschwitz? Yet all of the books that one might turn to in order to fact-check these figures, they read more like a morbid catechism than a compendium of actual factual data from which the official narrative could be quickly and easily verified. How many courageous scholars over the years have addressed this elephant in the room at great personal cost? Well, now we have something. Now we have the Holocaust Encyclopedia, the world's first truly and comprehensive and unconstrained encyclopedic work on this embattled topic that offers an unbiased and thoroughly critical analysis of the Holocaust narrative from A to Z. Meticulously researched, examined forensic evidence allows you to now challenge the widely accepted beliefs surrounding the events of this dark chapter in human history. It invites readers to explore all of the facets of the Holocaust, including overlooked and viciously suppressed perspectives, while fostering an atmosphere of open inquiry that strives to leave no stone unturned or historical document unexamined. Go to HolocaustEncyclopedia.com. Everything from cremation propaganda, absurdities and lies, historical persons, instruments, camps, legal documentation, locations, manipulation, of course. HolocaustEncyclopedia.com. If you put in Stu Likes Books at checkout, you'll get 15% off. HolocaustEncyclopedia.com. Use the promo code Stu Likes Books at checkout for 15% off. I'm going to ask you for your undivided attention because I'm going to tell you about what could possibly be the most important life-saving supplement that I have ever talked about. It's called Cardio Miracle. Each serving of Cardio Miracle has a combination of over 50 high-quality ingredients, including a huge variety of fruits, vegetables, amino acids, and herbs, all of which come together to promote your body's ability to produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is so important for heart health. It helps to relax and dilate your blood vessels, which supports blood flow and circulation. And I love that you don't have to take this giant pill to get all of this nutrition. No, Cardio Miracle comes in a powder formula, so it's really easy to mix all day throughout the day into juice or water and take it at any time. That also helps to support mood regulation because it's a neurotransmitter. It's a neuromodulator in the brain. So it can support the release of serotonin and dopamine, both of which are really important and involved in mood regulation. Cardio Miracle also supports mental clarity, sleep quality, energy levels. It can even help with recovery after exercise. Nitric oxide is essential for so many functions in the body, and Cardio Miracle supports the production of nitric oxide so you get many benefits from just one supplement. Please go to highpowerheart.com. Again, highpowerheart.com. I'm telling you, this could quite possibly be the most important supplement that I will ever talk about. Cardio Miracle. Go to highpowerheart.com. So in some of my off-the-record segments for our supporters at stupeters.com, for the financial supporters of the network, one of the things that I've been introducing lately is this introductory clinic for novice noticers. And so we've been talking a lot about usury. You know that interest rates, these central banks, interest is a huge scam. People have just been programmed to believe, well, interest is just a normal thing. I go to my buddy, I need some quick cash. He has $200, and then, in return, just give me $300 back. Why would you do that? I mean, why would you ever agree to do that? So there's a lot of talk about interest rates, of course. And then in the news, there's all kinds of talks about interest rates. I mean, we can look at some of this here. Today's mortgage rates, CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Fortune, ABC News, they're all talking about interest rates. And then there's speculation. Well, I mean, these rates have been really high. Are the rates going to drop? If the rates drop, what's making money? What's losing money? Well, we can answer all of that with Carlos Cortez from Cortez Wealth Management, who is here now. Do you anticipate a rate reduction?
Yes, they have to in order for everything to work the way it needs to be working and to increase stock market. They have to basically lower interest rates. The economy, people are buying cars and mortgages at all-time highs. So interest rates do have to come down.
What happens when they do? People are going to panic. Should they be in things, out of things, in the market? How's the market going to respond?
Yeah, so typically when the rates do drop, the prices do go up. It's an inverse relationship, but also the yields go down. So when interest rates go down, the yields go up, and so what we can expect is what's interesting is the 20-year Treasury. If we look at that, the yield curve, so you have a 2-year, a 5-year, and a 10-year Treasury note. And there's a whole thing we're going to talk about on SPF about how the government uses its own money to print money and to pay the interest. And they're just printing money to pay the bond. So we'll save that for another segment. But what actually makes money is the 20-year Treasury. So when the stock market collapses, Stu, people run to treasuries, which is a governmental securities, which is safe. It's out of the stock market, but it's in the bond market. But what happens is that, like anything else, supply and demand, when everybody wants something, that demand goes higher and those prices go higher. So we're sitting at an all-time low on a 20-year Treasury. So if we bought the 20-year Treasury, aka TMF, again, not investment advice, I'm not giving investment advice. I'm just saying this for education purposes only. TLT and TMF is 3 times the 20-year Treasury. Then we're going to see stocks or ETFs like TMF just skyrocket. And right now, TMF, I believe, is around 42. It has ability to go well past 150. The chart is just massive. And if you look at this chart, you'll see that you'll start to see some green on the bottom right there.
Yep, I see it there.
It is turning over from red to green. So it is positioned that we will see a bump in these prices, which means interest rates have to go down. Obviously, no one can get mortgages right now because income is not as high. We have default rates on car notes as well as mortgages. The Biden administration, Stu, has been paying FHA defaults and holding literally 800 to 1 million homes, preventing them to go into foreclosures. So that just came out on Wall Street Journal last week. So yeah, they're running a huge scam.
Well, you got to protect yourself from that scam, and you can. I just knowing all of these things empowers you. So when they say that knowledge is power, they really mean that. It sounds cliche, but knowledge is power. I didn't know any of these things before I had Carlos Cortez, and you should have him as well. So just go to CortezWM.com. Go to CortezWM.com and book your appointment with that guy right there. It is a free appointment. It will cost you nothing. But when the interest rates go down and you don't know what's going to happen in the market, where should you be? What should you do? Well, if you're a client of Carlos Cortez, he's going to tell you. He tells me. That's why I'm comfortable. I don't care if the rates go up, down, what the market does, or what crypto does. I'm good. CortezWM.com. Go there now. Talked just the other day about the continuing resolution. The continuing resolution. You guys know what that means? That means that we're going to continue to spend your money on things that you did not permit the government to spend money on, the government not being a for-profit business, of course. Yeah, right now in Washington, D.C., this out-of-control federal government is preparing to spend another $1.6 trillion to fund themselves through September. $1.6 trillion, at least, of money that was stolen unjustly and unconstitutionally from the American people through taxes and other means of theft. And now it will all be redistributed to the criminal class, to the kleptocrats of the United States government and all of their cronies, to those who leech off of the teat of multi-million dollar and multi-billion dollar federal contracts and endowments and grants and, of course, foreign aid. No matter who we elect, no matter who we support, no matter what we say to our elected officials year after year after year, 6-month spending cycle after 6-month spending cycle, they just continue to flush our money right down the toilet and drive this country right off the edge of a cliff to complete and total financial ruin. But at a national level and at an individual level, of course, all of this is unsustainable. We're reaching a point in history, in the history of our country, our nation, where the only thing that we're going to be able to push back, the only way that we're going to be able to make this government feel any pain outside of a kinetic confrontation, which nobody wants, is going to be to stop paying income tax, cut off the cash flow, cut off the spigot of money and resources coming from us, from the American people, and straight into the coffers of their criminal, corrupt, occupied government. Force them to come to the table or collapse. What would our ancestors have done? I mean, our ancestors went to war with the biggest, most powerful empire on the face of the planet over a tax on tea, over not having the ability to appeal to their own government, to redress their government, to petition their grievances. Well, what the hell do you think we're going through today? Our ancestors would have reached their breaking point a long time ago, decades ago. This has to stop, and guess what? We have the power to stop it. There's no law that requires 99% of Americans to pay federal income tax, so why the hell are you still doing it? It's time to defund the United States government, to defund the traitors, and to take our country back. So how do we get started? Well, we've been talking to Payman Motaheda for a long time. Our good friends at Freedom Law School have spent years helping American citizens take back control of their lives by withdrawing from this corrupt, genocidal system of theft. And to share more on that, he's with us now again. Payman Motaheda, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Tax season is coming, and people are starting to panic because, you know, the 1099 wage earners are saying, oh my God, business owners are going, where am I going to get this money from? We have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars sending it to the federal government. We're going to get nothing in return. And this is just a contract that we voluntarily signed that nobody is legally required to do.
Well, people just got to educate themselves that they do not need to be afraid of their public servants, the corrupt gang in Washington, D.C., because there is no law requiring people who are not citizens or residents of Washington, D.C. to file and pay federal income tax. And unless you file that 1040 income tax confession form, you sign it under oath, you legally owe the IRS nothing, just a big fat zero. What they've done is this corrupt media has brainwashed us for decades that the smart, safe thing to do is to sign that 1040 form under oath, and you swear that you owe the IRS money and beg the IRS to accept your expenses and deductions and credits. So once people educate themselves about this issue by going to our website, freedom lawschool.org. They can stop being a slave for free. I have on our website 7 steps to free yourself with education and no longer be a slave of this corrupt, occupied government. The first 5 steps are absolutely free. The next 2 are optional if you wish to follow America's founding fathers' steps. They got together, one for all for one. By standing together, they were able to restore their God given rights in America. And we could do the same thing and provide guarantees for people that they will not in any way be hurt by the IRS if you get together with each other as Americans, like the founding fathers do. People who are wage earners, they can stop the stealing of the money from their paycheck by their employer that sends it to the IRS every month. That withholding, you can stop it by going to freedomlawschool.org for free.
All of our historical movements in this country, all of the major historical events that have taken place in this country where the American people rose up and fought for themselves, that was all done way before the internet. This was literally guys going into communities and talking and getting together with one another and coming up with ideas and then carrying out these ideas. I mean, it's so possible. And if it was possible then to have a nationwide tax revolt, because if you look at any one of these revolutions that we have had over the history of our times, they've all started with a tax revolt. And this idea was come up with going from pub to pub or bar to bar, home to home, church to church, neighborhood to neighborhood, and having these community meetings. If they were effective then, and we have the internet now, and we're able to inform ourselves and educate ourselves and learn from professionals like you, we're unstoppable if people actually really are about defunding the government. You know, it's one thing to get on the internet and to tweet, defund the government. It's a great idea. But are you participating in that great idea? Or are you just saying words on the internet for clicks and likes and to make yourself look good? You know, how are you really living? Are you really wanting to defund the government? Because we can. And if you look at the U.S. debt clock, you can see in real time that there are about 50 million in the workforce in real time that are not paying taxes. 50 million people. Why aren't you one of them? And that's what we need to discuss. So how easy is it for people, Payman, to take that step to not paying taxes and doing it within the confines of the law, not worrying about the bad guys showing up on their doorstep and taking them to jail?
It's very easy. That's why the very first thing that we teach on our website is follow the law as found on U.S. government's official legal websites, the IRS's 1040 tax form instructions, U.S. Treasury regulations, the federal tax laws, and U.S. Supreme Court. That is all that we rely on. Not some cockamamie theory about revocation of election, UCC, sovereign or national citizen. Any of those stuff you hear about are a bunch of baseless legal theories. I've done this for over 30 years successfully. Not one of my students has gone to prison. Not one of my students who came to me clean and stopped filing income tax with Freedom Law School has ever had their bank account or paycheck taken by the IRS. And now we have a guarantee. People want that, but they got to do what the founding fathers did today. Get together, okay? And now we are absolutely unstoppable. The founding fathers were unstoppable when they made up their mind to stand up for freedom. And even in a Soviet Union, that communist empire collapsed once the people in the Soviet Union took away their support for that corrupt government. It is much easier for us to do it in America because the founding fathers gave us the tools to be able to simply stop paying these guys because there is no law requirements to pay and support this corrupt government.
Step 1 is to follow the law. Step 2, stop filing income tax forms. Let's go through it together. Step 3, realize the IRS operates on deception and bluff. You're kidding me. Under the empire of lies, we have to worry about the IRS lying? I never would have thought. Let's go back to this one. Step 4 is take courage from our victories. Number 5, what was it? Question authority. Yeah. We teach you to do that here all the time. Listen to this stuff. Number 6, join the Restore Freedom Plan. And number 7, look at the smile on Payman's face there. Love and spread the truth. And that's exactly what we are doing here. freedomlawschool.org. You got to go there. This is something that a lot of people have teetered on. A lot of people know about. I run into people at the coffee shop. I run into people, are you still paying taxes? Yeah, I'm still paying taxes. Why are you still doing that? Well, I heard that you really don't have to. I heard this is all like voluntary. The word is getting out. Now we have the power of the internet, and we have a professional who has not paid taxes in 30-something years, has helped thousands of people who have never gone to prison. They're not paying taxes. They're living legally. They're abiding by the law. They're patriotic Americans. And as far as I'm concerned, Payman, one of the most patriotic things that you can do right now is not pay taxes. It used to be that our grandparents would say, well, I pay my taxes. I do my part. Well, turns out that wasn't such a great idea, was it?
It wasn't. Right now, we have a patriotic duty not to pay taxes to this corrupt system. Income taxes, payroll taxes, corporate estate taxes, none of those you have to pay to the federal government. All the roads and schools, police and courts are provided by our local, state, and sales taxes, things like that. So it's really easy to be free. We just got to educate ourselves and get rid of the deception, the lies they told us. This way, we will no longer be afraid. We recognize the power we have, and we can stand up and stop the robbery and slavery of each of us, our families, and together have America be a free, prosperous country once again.
There it is. Go to the website you got to go to is freedomlawschool.org. I've been showing it on the screen here, and I've been trying to peruse my way around here and actually looking at the different plans. You can look at all of the different writings here. Look at this. Payman has all kinds of different videos here educating you on why it is that you are not legally required to pay taxes. And this is all true. This isn't some weird, you were talking about like a lot of these people, I'm a sovereign citizen. They think that they're above the law. They don't have to go to jail if the police tell them to. Yeah, okay. Well, the cop is usually telling them, yeah, okay, well, go tell that to the fake judge then, and then they end up in the hooskow. But with this, 30 years, 30 years as a professional helping other people, you haven't paid taxes yourself. None of your people, nor are you in prison. Here you are. You look great. freedomlawschool.org. What's that?
They've never tried to indict me. And I've been under criminal investigation, Stu, for over 30 years, and they can continue their investigation all they want. I have not broken any law by not paying federal income taxes, payroll taxes, and neither will any of your audience. You don't have to pay these guys anything, and you'll be perfectly safe. You just got to educate yourself at freedomlawschool.org/Stu.
Oh, /Stu. Okay.
Yes.
All right, there it is. freedomlawschool.org/Stu. Let's put it in there and see what it looks like. Well, I got you on the line here. /Stu. All right, there it is. Oh, yep, there it is. 99% of Americans are not required to file and pay income taxes. Here it is, right here. You're not a robot. Just enter your name and your email and your phone number and get a hold of Payman Motaheda. Go to freedomlawschool.com/Stu. Again, freedomlawschool. Come again? .org. freedomlawschool.org/Stu. freedomlawschool.org/Stu. get over there and get yourself educated. Getting the information is absolutely the first step. freedomlawschool.org/Stu. 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 Defund the government and be real about it. We'll be right back.
Don't let the IRS rob you. Where is your money going? Over 4 million government credit cards by federal employees were used to make 90 million transactions with no accountability. DOJ has found $4.7 trillion in federal spending that is untraceable or fraudulent. You work hard to pay your bills, and a significant portion of your money is funneled to thieves and fraudsters through the taxes you pay to the IRS. The IRS wants you to feel powerless. Be a slave that shuts up and give them your hard-earned money. But there is a way out of this slavery. Freedom Law School has been teaching Americans for over 30 years that no law requires 99% of Americans to file and pay income tax. None of their students who have stopped paying have gone to prison or had their bank account or property stolen by the IRS. Go to freedomlawschool.org today to take 7 steps to freedom from IRS deception, robbery, and slavery. For freedom, go to freedomlawschool.org today.
So RFK Jr. is heading up Health and Human Services, and of course we have Elon Musk, who's heading up DOJ, the Department of Government Efficiency, looking into all of the unnecessary spending. How about we look into spraying the skies with poison? How about we look into weather modification? Yeah, it's not a secret anymore. We've all seen them spraying the skies. You can go outside and see the perfectly crisscrossed patterns. This mysterious fog that appeared, you guys remember that? People were just getting sick all over the place. Bioweapons being sprayed in the sky. We've seen graphene oxide samples, and now deadly bacteria is found in this deadly fog. You're getting poisoned everywhere. And so, of course, the old playbook is make it impossible to get real treatments that actually help you and instead push you to big pharma, scare the hell out of you, and make you go get a deadly injection. No, not anymore. Remember ivermectin? It was hard to get to. Remember hydroxychloroquine? It was hard to get to. Doxycycline, dexamethasone, all of the things that actually treated people that were demonized by the murderous press. It's all available right here, right now, in the emergency kit that I've been telling you about. Get the ivermectin, get the hydroxychloroquine, the dexamethasone, get it all right here in this travel-size case. It's ready to go. Guidebook for safe and easy use inside of this thing, putting urgent care right at your fingertips. Plus, it includes the immunity-boosting Z-Sac nutraceutical, giving your body the extra defense that it needs on the daily, whether it's a sudden bacterial infection or a bioweapon attack, maybe a respiratory illness or something more severe. The Z-Kit has you covered. The purchasing process is fully digital. All it takes, just fill out a quick little digital form. Within 1 to 2 weeks, your kit arrives at your front door, just as mine did at mine. Don't let illnesses and bioweapons catch you off guard. Order your Z-Kit right now at the famous zstackprotocol.com. Go to zstackprotocol.com and then use code SPN to save up to $48 plus get free shipping. Up to $48 off plus free shipping for this. It was hard to get ivermectin, remember? It probably will be again. Hydroxychloroquine, dexamethasone, doxycycline, all of these things are included right here, plus a guide for safe use. Go to zstackprotocol.com and use the promo code SPN. $48 off plus free shipping, and because we're America first and America only, it's available to American residents only. zstackprotocol.com.
Are you using your phone, or is it using you? Rise above mass surveillance and discover a phone that protects your privacy and communications.
Above Phone does everything your old phone does, without tracking you, while giving you complete control over your phone and apps. We are better than big tech. It works with any cell service. No forced logins. No advertising or tracking. Download apps privately. Control your phone and its apps with secure hardware. Introducing Above Suite. Includes a VPN, private email and calendar, private chats, video calls, internet phone, and a search engine. Don't worry if you're new. Every phone includes a free 45-minute live call. You also get free email and chat support, free guides and video courses, You have the power.
Rise above with Above Phone.
Above